All right, this is very exciting, not just for me, but for our Fox 10 Talks viewers, and of course for Blake Niemann, who's joining me right here, because this is the maiden voyage of Fox 10 Talk Sports Pregame. Say it 10 times fast. If you say it without stuttering or messing it up, I'll give you a piece of candy. This is a busy and exciting time for us here, because this is a new kind of twist on the Fox 10 Talk Sports concept, where we're going to get you ready here at 3:30 every Friday for the big sporting events that will be coming up this coming weekend. Because, of course, we work the weekends. We're at all the big sporting events. We're covering all the stuff. And so we want to bring you into the conversation here on the Fox 10 Phoenix YouTube and the Fox 10 Phoenix app and the Fox Local app and fox10phoenix.com. So, Blake, the big story that we're going to kind of dive in here for this weekend is the Diamondbacks returning home after a 10-game, I believe it was 10-game, nearly 2-week road trip. They're finally back at Chase Field. The Chase Field funding bill was signed,
yes,
I saw, by Governor Hobbs today. So the Chase Field renovations will be ensuing in the coming years with that bill getting passed here.
I think everyone in the Valley is pretty happy about that.
The Diamondbacks are not going anywhere, so that is always good news. So, Blake, I guess we'll just kind of dive in here. What are your thoughts on this Marlins series with Miami coming in, and they've won 4 straight? They just swept San Francisco.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think the D-backs kind of got a bounce back to be able to get themselves back in rhythm with some lower-level competition on the recent road trip, playing the Rockies, playing the White Sox, 2 of the less caliber teams in baseball. I mean, Colorado, it's just abysmal over there in the Rocky Mountains. There's no other way to put it. But the Marlins are typically a team that's on, not doing so great in basebal, but again,
and they don't spend any money.
A sweep of the Giants. I think I saw it was the first time they've swept the Giants at the Giants since 2017 or something. So
it's always scary when you have a team that's not playing well, throughout the season, but they get hot when they have to play you. You never want that, and so this is kind of one of those proverbial trap series maybe for the D-backs, but they've handled their business so far in playing these quote-unquote lesser opponents. But you look at this Diamondbacks team, and it's so hard to evaluate them right now because they don't have any other players. I mean, you look down, just a few. We only have 13 minutes on the stream here. It would take probably 4 hours to go through all of the injuries, just with the pitching staff. Let's not even talk about the position players. But you look at the position players that were put on the injured list recently. Gabby Moreno with the hand fracture, Corbin Carroll with a wrist fracture, Eldiarmo Vargas with a fracture in his right foot, kind of fouled the ball off his foot in that White Sox series. The injuries have been piling up for this Diamondbacks team. And however, they're still in the playoff mix, still in that wild card playoff mix because of the job Toy Lovello has done to keep this team together. Zac Gallen, the ace of this staff, was at a charity event yesterday at St. Mary's Food Bank handing out some milk. He is, after all, the milkman, right? Handing out some Shamrock Farms milk yesterday. And I asked Zac about the injury kind of crisis, if you will, that the Diamondbacks have gone through and how this team has been able to stick together through it. This is what he had to say.
I think just from what we've just kind of cultivated from a culture standpoint over the last 2.5 to 3 years, going back to that second half of 22, I think you kind of saw the tides tend to change. We kind of got, we got guys in place that wanted to be here, that knew what it meant, what it took to kind of, be successful at this level. So I think for us, that culture's just been in place now for the last couple of years. So the guys who come up from AAA or whether we sign guys, they kind of just fit right in. Really, I think the front office ultimately knows what they're looking for when it comes to the guys they're going to call to the big league level, and do they fit that character part of what we've kind of grown here. I think there's really no conversations. Really, it's just at the end of the day, everyone in that clubhouse is a grown man. Everyone knows the business. And when it comes to, injuries, those things tend to happen. We play a sport that is pretty much like a marathon, not a sprint. So I think you'd be pretty ignorant to think that at any point in time over almost a 200-day season, somebody's not going to get hurt. Obviously, it's a little unfortunate that things are happening kind of all at the same time, but it is what it is. Guys know that, we just have to keep, plugging away, keep doing our job, and just see what happens.
So what do you kind of think when you hear that, Blake? It sounds like the mindset is the right mindset within the clubhouse right now.
Well, I think Zac Gallen's always been an intelligent guy when I've been able to speak to him the few times that I have, and I think he has a good grasp of what this clubhouse entails and what all makes it up. He's a veteran guy. He's been a part of this franchise for quite some time now, so I think he understands what the emotional state is. And like he said, it's a long baseball season, 162-game season, and the D-backs are nearly halfway through it now at 80 games, 41-39. They're still in the mix in terms of wild card potential. I believe they're 3 games back of the Padres for that final NL wild card spot. So you can't lose hope on the season yet if you're a Diamondbacks fan. Although things maybe look really grim, I think the most impressive thing to me has been when you look at the recent stretch where Corbin Carroll goes down against the Blue Jays on this road trip. Eugenio Suarez was out for a couple of games in that Chicago series after getting hit on the hand. Even Josh Naylor left a game early because of some shoulder issues. I think the way the team has continued to battle through and even push through that and still come out with wins. They have won 10 of their last 15, 5 of their last 7, battling through all those injuries still and still being in the mix for a wild card spot, I think speaks to what Zach was talking about and just the perseverance of this team and the culture that's been established from Torrey, who I think has done a good job, kind of trying to steer the ship amidst something that would be a manager's nightmare with all his star players going down.
And it helps, right, when you kind of have this stretch of opponents. And obviously, I feel bad when you say, this stretch of opponents in a sense, because all these guys are professional athletes. They're all the best at what they do to make it to this point. But it is the Rockies. Okay, it's the Marlins and the White Sox. So, if you're going to go through a lot of injuries, this is probably the time to deal with injuries. And as Zach said, too, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. This is going to happen when you're playing a baseball game over a 200-day season. But as Zach said, it's unfortunate that it's all happening at once. So you could also kind of spin zone it the other way. How much more bad luck how much more bad luck can this Diamondback team have? It's all happening at once here. They've basically lost their entire A bullpen. They've lost a chunk of their starting rotation. And the fact that they are still hanging into this wild card picture, it makes you wonder what's going to happen once we get to the All-Star game, which also D-back fans get out and vote for Ketel Marte. Going to probably be the starter at second base, so let's make that happen.
On pace to be the starter for the NL at second base, so definitely keep putting in votes for Ketel Marte.
And Gino Suarez, man. Gino Suarez
has had an incredible year.
Incredible home run power. We're finally seeing it.
Corbin Carroll, is having a good season, and the injury might prohibit him from possibly participating in the All-Star game. But Gino Suarez, this guy, I feel like there's not many bad things you can point to about this guy. He is
the king of good vibes as well.
King of good vibes, great guy just in general, always taking time for fans, always interacting with people, just has a great big heart and a big swing and a big bat.
Oh, yeah.
So he's really unleashed his power from the start of the season to now. It's really continued, and especially actually have the stats in front of me for his stats for June. 307, 10 homers, 25 ribbies since the start of June.
I'll take it. That's what you want out of your third baseman. So
absolutely.
As I was saying,
it's good to have him back. He's going to be in the lineup today after he missed the past couple of games.
That is great news. And as I was saying, it'll be interesting to see what this team does as you get to the All-Star break, as you get to the ultimate trade deadline, because if they're hanging around and they're still in the playoff mix, Mike Hazen is a fairly aggressive general manager, and you want that in your general manager to make moves to try to win. Given the amount of injuries this team has, if they can continue to play like this, then you imagine they may not be huge buyers, but you want them to be buyers at the trade deadline. As we are kind of reaching the final couple minutes of the stream here, I want to kind of take this in a bit of a fun direction. Also worth noting in terms of big sporting events going on, 2 big home games for the Mercury this weekend.
Yes,
the Liberty in town tonight, kind of a cool family affair for the Sabali family. Blake's going to have a story coming up on that. And then this Sunday, a matinee with the Las Vegas Aces. So Asia Wilson coming to town.
2 great teams in town, but the Mercury are red hot. 5-game win streak.
11-4 overall, right?
Second place in the West. This team,
there's something else.
Just real quickly, losing DT and BG getting traded, it's been remarkable what they've been able to do to repiece this roster and keep this franchise as one of the best in the WNBA.
Oh, that is an understatement. What Nick Uren and what Nate Tibbetts have been able to do with this team, it's been incredible and fun to watch. And as we kind of wind this down here, I know, Blake, have you been a golfer for a while? Or is this a new thing for you?
I'm a golf attempter. I said.
Well, that's what we all are. None of us, unless you're on the PGA Tour, you're not an actual golfer.
I'm a golf attempter.
I like that. I'm going to steal that.
I cannot drive, but my iron game.
You can drive the golf cart.
That is true.
There you go. See, so Zac Gallen he's an avid golfer, and when he was at his charity event yesterday, I wanted to ask him, what is the threshold? It's 150 degrees out here for him. Obviously, he can travel across the country as a Diamondbacks player when they go on these road trips. What is the threshold that he says it's too hot to go out and golf? This is what Zac had to say.
I was just joking around. For me, we are fortunate enough to play some golf on the road in some cooler weather cities, so I scratch my itch there. But here, for me, anything under like 110, I can justify. But like I said, we tend to play a decent amount of good weather golf on the road, so I get my fix there. So I tend to just take it easy when we're here in Arizona.
110, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, I was at the driving range the other day, and it was like 100 flat, and it wasn't too bad.
It's a dry heat.
Yeah, so they say.
I like when you go out this time of the year. I like even in the garage at my house. I went out to move some stuff around a couple days ago, and even in my garage, touching the metal of my golf clubs, and I'm like, ooh, a little hot. And then you go out and out of golf, and it's like you can even feel like the rubber on your grip is like, oh, is this melting in my hands? That's not what you want. I'm going to be slicing this ball all over the place. But yeah, Zac Gallen, 110, he said, is about the cutoff. And he's a brave soul for that. That's not for the weary soul golfer out there. But I like golf attempts
are a hard bargain this time of year.
Yes, I will say if you are a golfer or if you're watching this anywhere across the country, Phoenix and the surrounding areas, fantastic golf courses. This is the time if you're willing to brave heat stroke. This is the time to do it because you could play some of the best courses for unbeatable prices. You could, a course that may be $300-$400 a round, maybe half that or less this time of the year compared to the winter time.
You may not make it through all 18 without being drenched in sweat.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. Real quick, we got like 10 seconds. What do you hope to shoot as a golf attempter when you go out?
Oh gosh, under 100.
That's good. That's good. No, that's about what I was gonna say. If I can get it to like the mid 90s. I'm good with that.
That's the goal.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Thank you very much for joining us here for this first Fox 10 Talk Sports pregame. We'll be back at 6:30 for another edition of Fox 10 Talk Sports, where we're going to be talking ASU athletics with athletic director